What if you could relive your happiest memory or erase your worst? In a small, unassuming antique shop, Theo Blackwood offers a service more dangerous than any treasure: the power to trade memories. But when a mysterious stranger walks in with a request to alter history itself, Theo is thrust into a world where some memories are too powerful to control, and the price of the past might just destroy the future. Would you dare to remember what was never meant to be remembered? In a sleepy, nondescript town tucked between misty hills, there was a small antique shop known as Whispers of the Past. The shop was unremarkable at first glance: dusty shelves filled with old books, faded photographs, and trinkets from long-forgotten eras. But to those who knew where to look, it offered far more than just the remnants of history. It offered memories. Theo Blackwood, the shop's owner, had always been a quiet man. A man of few words, with the kind of calm demeanor that made him easy to overlook. He'd inherited the shop from his late grandfather, a man who had dealt in antiques but also, in the deepest corners of his heart, had traded in something far more extraordinary: memories. It all began years ago, when Theo was a boy. He'd found an old, peculiar device hidden in the back of the shop, a machine that could extract and preserve memories. His grandfather had never spoken of it, but Theo's curiosity got the better of him. After some trial and error, Theo realized he could not only store memories in the machine, but also share them with others. Let them relive the past as though they were experiencing it all over again. With time, Theo learned to navigate the fragile and complex world of memory trading. It was a quiet business, a secret between him and a select few customers. Some came seeking joy, memories of a first love, a child's first steps, a moment of triumph. Others sought to forget, painful memories of loss, regret, or guilt, all of which Theo could erase, at least temporarily. It was an odd, yet comforting, existence for Theo. He had few close friends and no family left to speak of. The memory business allowed him to feel connected to others in ways that were otherwise impossible. But it was a business that came with a price. Memories could be dangerous, and some requests came with consequences. Theo had learned to keep his head down, to keep his business low-key. He never asked too many questions, and his customers, for the most part, were grateful for the anonymity. But then, one fateful day, a man walked into the shop who would change everything. Theo had just finished cleaning a stack of old records when the bell over the door jingled. He looked up to see a man in a well-tailored suit standing in the doorway. His face was obscured by the brim of a wide hat, but there was something in the way he carried himself, an air of authority and danger, that immediately caught Theo's attention. The man stepped inside, his eyes scanning the dimly lit room. "I've heard rumors about this place," he said in a smooth, almost hypnotic voice. "They say you can offer something more than just antiques." Theo's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't had a serious customer in months. "What kind of thing are you looking for?" Theo asked cautiously, hoping his voice didn't betray his anxiety. The man's lips curled into a faint smile. "I'm in need of a memory, one that has the power to change everything. A memory, perhaps, of a time before the world became what it is now." Theo's mind raced. This was a request like none he'd ever heard before. Memories were personal, fragile things. They weren't meant to be tampered with in such a profound way. But there was something in the man's demeanor that suggested he wouldn't take no for an answer. "What kind of memory?" Theo asked, already dreading the answer. The man stepped closer, his eyes cold and calculating. "A memory that will alter history, a moment lost to time, but one that could turn the course of everything. A key moment that no one else remembers." Theo's breath caught in his throat. He knew instinctively that this was more than just a transaction. It was a dangerous request. "I'm afraid I can't offer something like that," Theo said quickly, his voice shaky. "The memories I deal with are..." He cut himself off. He knew that in this line of work, you didn't refuse a powerful customer. The man's gaze softened for a moment, but there was something unsettling in his eyes. "You can," he said simply. "You just haven't realized it yet. The man explained in detail what he sought, an event from Theo's own past, a memory that had been hidden from the world for decades. It was a moment that, if recalled, could disrupt the delicate balance of power in the world. It was the day a great secret had been buried, and the memory of it had been erased. Until now. Theo was both terrified and captivated by the man's request. The memory the man sought was one of his own, one he had been hiding in the recesses of his mind for years. It was a memory of a time before the shop, before the business. A memory of Theo's grandfather, who had been a part of a secret group working to manipulate history itself. Theo had been warned by his grandfather never to tamper with certain memories. Some memories, his grandfather had said, were too powerful. If the wrong person got a hold of them, the consequences could be catastrophic. And now, this mysterious man was asking for it, demanding it. For the first time in years, Theo was faced with a moral dilemma. Should he refuse the man's request and risk his wrath, or should he give in to the temptation of profit and power? Against his better judgment, Theo agreed. He prepared the machine, the one that had once belonged to his grandfather, and set the coordinates for the requested memory. As he did so, a sense of unease settled in his stomach, but it was too late to turn back. When the man sat in the chair, ready to relive the memory, Theo hesitated. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The man nodded, his expression unreadable. "I have no choice." Theo activated the machine, and the memory began to unfold before them. It was a memory of a secret meeting, held in the very shop they now occupied. His grandfather had been part of a covert organization, one that sought to alter key moments in history, to change the course of events by manipulating the memories of those who lived through them. The memory Theo had hidden away was of his grandfather's final decision, a decision that had, for better or worse, sealed the fate of the world. But as the memory unfolded, something went wrong. The man's expression shifted from calm to something darker, something more dangerous. His eyes gleamed with an unsettling hunger, and his fingers twitched as though he were controlling the very fabric of the memory itself. Theo's stomach churned. The memory wasn't just reliving, it was changing. In the days that followed, Theo's life began to spiral out of control. The man who had come into his shop was no ordinary customer. He was part of a far-reaching, powerful organization that sought to reshape history itself. Theo had unknowingly given them the key to unlocking a world-changing secret, one that, if exploited, could topple governments and rewrite the fabric of society. Theo became a target. His shop was ransacked, his equipment destroyed, and the town that had once felt safe became a hunting ground. The man's influence stretched far beyond what Theo had anticipated, but the damage was done. Theo had awakened a force he couldn't control. Desperate and hunted, Theo fled, leaving behind the only life he'd ever known. He had to erase all traces of the memory trade, destroy the machine, and hide his existence. But the man had already made sure Theo's name was known across the world, a mark of both danger and significance. The only question that remained was whether Theo could outrun the consequences of his actions, or if the world would change in ways he couldn't begin to understand. The weight of memory was a strange thing. It wasn't just a collection of moments. It was a quiet, invisible force that shaped every decision, every glance, every unspoken thought. Theo had always known this. He'd felt it deep in his bones, even as a child, when his grandfather would speak of memories like fragile glass. They could be held delicately in your hands, polished and stored, but once broken, they could never be fully repaired. It was why Theo had learned to guard his own memories so carefully, to lock away the things he couldn't bear to revisit. But memories were like seeds. They could be buried, but they always had a way of sprouting again when you least expected it. And once they did, there was no going back. What had once been a harmless, quiet business of offering forgotten moments had now grown into something dangerous. A force that could unravel everything, including the very fabric of his own past. As Theo disappeared into the shadows, he realized the truth his grandfather had tried to warn him about. Some memories were better left forgotten. But now, he could never forget the memory he had released, and the world would never forget him. The memory dealer had unwittingly become the most powerful man in the world, but not by choice. His life and the world around him would never be the same again. As the dust settled and the chaos of the past few weeks faded into silence, Theo stood alone in the remnants of his once quiet shop. It had been a journey filled with loss, regret, and unimaginable consequences, but it had also been one of awakening. He had learned that memories, both the treasured and the painful, were what truly shaped a person, not the past, but how one chose to carry it forward. The power to alter history had slipped through his fingers, but in doing so, he had found something far more valuable: the courage to face the present and the future, unburdened by the weight of what was lost. Theo's hand rested on the machine, now inactive and still. He could have destroyed it, erased it from existence, but he realized that some things, no matter how dangerous, had a place in the world. It wasn't the memories themselves that held power, it was what people chose to do with them. And with that, Theo decided to rebuild. Not just his shop, but the lives of those he had touched, one memory at a time. He would continue to offer what he could, but this time with the wisdom of knowing that the most important thing wasn't to change the past, but to embrace the future, no matter how uncertain it might be. And in that quiet, empty shop, Theo finally understood. The true value of memory wasn't in trading it, it was in living it.